Hey, I'm Kevin with Godlike Incorporated. Welcome to Tone Talk, episode 7. Sorry we took so long between episodes, but we redid the sound demo area here at Godlike HQ, and that took a little while. A lot of painting and whatnot, so here's the new digs, allowing us to do better demos for you. And we also have a guest today to celebrate our return. This is Phil Caivano from Monster Magnet. If you're not familiar with Monster Magnet, they are just an amazing stoner rock band from good old New Jersey, right down the Parkway a little bit.
109.
Phil and I have known each other for many years, and what we're going to talk about today is the Maxon Fuzz elements. 7 fuzz models that Maxon will be releasing in November, and each fuzz element model is designed to emulate a specific vintage fuzz from the 60s or 70s, and who better to do that than Phil, because he's probably used most of these on a lot of Magnet recordings over the years, and also owns a lot of the original ones. So Phil was kind enough to come up and spend the day with us and bring a bunch of his vintage fuzz collection so that we could do A/B comparisons with the Maxons to the originals that they're supposed to emulate. So enough talk, we're going to get right into it. This is Maxon Fuzz Elements Air, and Air is designed to emulate a vintage Univox Super Fuzz. And the Super Fuzz, you want to talk a little about a Super Fuzz?
Super Fuzz is an awesome pedal.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Magnet started using these years and years ago. The one record you can really hear it a lot on is Super Judge.
Okay.
The Super Judge era record, and was always a favorite. And you know, I just love the way it looks. I really don't care how it sounds. I mean, when I saw this when I was a kid, like, look at that thing. Green and this weird blue and orange, but it's a wicked sounding fuzz pedal. It just does something no other pedals do.
Yeah.
You know, and it's that era from that 70s era of pedals where they became like really, really aggressive and over the top.
Yep.
And all that stuff started coming in to America at that time, which is she just stomped on. It was like, oh my God, they're just ripping your head off. And I don't know, I've always loved these pedals. Yep. I was lucky enough to pick this one up years ago.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a great pedal. One other interesting note about the Univox Super Fuzz, it's the fuzz used on Gratitude by the Beastie Boys. So if you're familiar with that song too, that's like a great way to understand what this pedal actually sounds like. It's a very famous example of this pedal in use.
Yeah, they were used a lot.
Yeah,
you know, they were really, really common. They're also again, it's that over top thing. A lot of guys used them for bass at the time too.
Yeah, because it's got an excellent low end response. It's there's 2 tone settings. There's a scoop and fat, and the scoop just sucks out all your mids. It just does this really cool thing with bass. But we're gonna do it with guitar, and we're gonna set the air about both controls at 12 o'clock, and we're gonna start with scoop, and then we're gonna go up to the fat sound. So we'll set this similarly. What do we say, halfway? There we go. And we needs a little more volume on this one, right? Okay, so we're gonna start with the vintage one. Here's the Super Fuzz.
Gnarly, you know, it just rings out the different harmonics with the strings, you know. Yeah, I always loved the way, like, one of the things I always look for in a fuzz is that when you hit a chord, you still hear all the notes in the chord. Some other fuzzes it just sounds like a big mush.
Yeah.
And Dave and I always look for the clarity. You know, it's weird. You're dealing with fuzz, you're actually looking for some clarity in it. You know, but that's what takes it over the top.
Interesting. Okay, so there's the vintage Univox Super Fuzz. Here comes the Maxon. Cool. How do you feel it compares feel-wise, sound-wise to the Univox?
Feel-wise, I think it's great, and it's still like the reason I brought up that clarity before, because we were listening to these before we did this. It retains that clarity in the chords.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And chords are really hard to cut through on records and even live when you're using, you know, different fuzz pedals. And this pedal, you know, the Maxon, it's still doing that ring out, that harmonic ring out that the original does.
Yeah, cool.
And response wise, it's doing very close, you know, and it's really hard between like vintage stuff and new stuff. The response is going to be a little bit different, but yeah, just the way stuff is with you know, the modern versions of things. But I think it's great. I think they did a great job on this pedal, no doubt about it.
Cool. Why don't we just do, you play a little bit, I'm going to do a quick like A-B between the two so people can hear them back to back, and then we're going to switch over to the other tone setting, and then we'll move on to the other pedals, okay? So here's the Maxon Air again, and then I'm going to switch it back and forth.
Great.
Yeah, one other thing about the Super Fuzz, which in case you guys didn't know, it also has like an upper octave harmonic that rings out, so when you play higher on the neck, you're going to get that Octavia kind of tonality to it, which is really cool.
I went up there to get a couple of those things.
Awesome, so we're going to just switch the tone settings. We're going to go from the scoop to the fat on both of them. And then we'll start with the Super Fuzz again. Again, that scoop setting is like it scoops out all your mids. You got a lot of lows, a lot of highs. This is more uniform, and it's more like a classic kind of fuzz tone. So a little less aggressive. Awesome, yeah, it's definitely there. Again, you're getting the feel, you're getting the same.
I'm getting the same feel. I mean, and of course, I mean, the vintage one has a little less output.
Yeah.
But you know, in the modern world, I think that's great that has a little more output. You know what I mean? And it's like the consistency factor.
Yeah.
You know, I've probably owned 8 of these pedals. You know, and this is the one I ended up keeping because the one that I felt sounded the best. You know what I mean? And there was like a certain inconsistency because it's the way they built stuff back then and the way stuff ages and all that. And this pedal is like you're going to get the consistency that you need night in and night out, you know, session to session, you know. So I think that, you know, again, the response, and you keep asking about response, that's really important, the dynamics of the pedal, how it all interacts. And like, of course, each guy's different with the pickups, the guitar, the amp, you know. I mean, I don't really get into a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, pick it up, plug it in, does it sound good? Does it not, you know? And it's all relative too, but I think it's very close. And you know, the response, you know, the way I pick, I end up picking a little bit harder than some other guys. So you know, I dig in pretty deep, you know. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool.
I can live with that.
All right, so there you have it. That's Maxon Fuzz Elements Air, and it's designed to emulate a Univox Super Fuzz. We're going to take a little break, cut, and swap out some pedals, and we'll be back in a minute. Okay, cut.